Cap fact: I think this was the best option. A lot of people have been upset about how things ended for Steve Rogers at the end of Endgame. And while I understand that, I don't really know what else the creators could have done. Chris Evans had decided he was done with the role of Steve Rogers after Avengers Endgame. And so, how do you continue on after that when the actor doesn't want to play the role anymore? Option one, you recast. But I don't know how all this would work with such a big character. There have been a few times that characters have been recast in the MCU, but none of them have really been that big. Like they recast General Ross once William Hurt died, and they recast Rhodey when Terrence Howard had issues or was fired. I don't know the whole story on that. But both of them were relatively smaller roles. The biggest one we had was Edward Norton being recast, but he was only in The Incredible Hulk, and that was done before the Avengers. So even recasting him wasn't as big of a deal as it would be for recasting any of the Avengers after Avengers Endgame. So yes, you could recast them, but I think the audience has grown so attached to the Avengers in those roles that I think recasting would have been a mistake. No other actor would have been able to live up to Chris, even if he was better. Now, I'm not saying anyone would be better, I'm just saying even if he were better, people would still prefer Chris because that's who they grew up with. So you can't keep the actor, you gotta get rid of Captain America somehow. How do you do that? You could kill them off, but we already had two Avengers dying in Avengers Endgame. And there already wasn't room in the movie for those two big deaths. You know, Natasha's kind of got completely overshadowed by needing to move the plot forward. And so it didn't get the time it needed for us as the audience to really appreciate it. You could maybe swap one of the other two deaths, but that brings its own problems. If you swap to have Steve die in Natasha's place, then, we have the same complaints that people are currently having about Natasha's, where hers wasn't very well handled. And if you swap him with Tony's death, well, one, I think Tony just fit better in that particular death, but also then we have another actor who it's hard to bring back, whether because he didn't want to come back or if he just cost too much. He's Robert Downey Jr. is coming back with Doomsday, but I don't know if he would have come back at that point for Iron Man. So recasting's bad, killing him off is bad. You just got to write him out of the story somehow. So then how do you explain that he doesn't show up in later Avengers movies and whatnot? It's already been an issue in the current movies where it's like, why didn't Iron Man show up during Winter Soldier to help Steve out? So you have to make a reason for him to not show up in the later stories. And what better way to do that than to have him go back in time, out of the way, but with Peggy so he can have a happy ending. So again, I get the complaints. I kind of wish they could have done something else, but I don't know what that would be.